Hello students, today we are going to read an essay from our second paper on National Prejudices. It was written by Oliver Goldsmith. Oliver Goldsmith was an Irish novelist, playwright, poet, essayist. He was born on 18th November 1728, though this date is a bit doubtful, and he was died on 4th April 1774. In 1744 he went up to Trinity College, Dublin, and he was expelled from there in 1747 due to some charges of treason and of a supposed rivalry. He was graduated in 1749. He settled in London in 1756. He was a founding member of the club. The club is a periodical journal with Samuel Johnson. Oliver Goldsmith has tried many jobs, but he was not successful in any of these. He lived a very reckless kind of life, drinking and playing poker and all these things, squandering his money here and there. He has always lived in debt. Nearly all his life he lived in debts, and due to these things, means the creative genius and this hefty lifestyle, Horace Walpole called him inspired idiot, a title which he has given to him due to the way in which he was living his life and all those things. He died of kidney infection, and again due to that reckless lifestyle, he hasn't paid heed to his disease. He has been careless about it and just kept on drinking wine and all those things. His essays were quite remarkable for his power, boldness, originality, and he has a vein of humor, which is a kind of charming factor of his essays. If we talk about the major works of Oliver Goldsmith, then we must say The Citizen of the World. It was a collection of essays and letters, and the present essay on National Prejudices was also taken from this collection. Then he has written Hermit. It was a romantic ballad. Then The Deserted Village. It was a pastoral poem. The Vicar of the Wakefield. It was a novel. The Good-Natured Man and She Stoops to Conquer. It were the plays, very well celebrated plays they were. And The History of Little Goody Two Shoes. It was supposed to be an ancient children's tale, and though it is not for sure, but still it is believed that it was penned by Oliver Goldsmith. Now this present essay on national prejudices, as is the title, the essayist has talked about the way in which people assume national pride, in which they suppose their nationality, their nation superior to others, and how they talk in inferior terms about other nations or about the people of other nations. So let's begin with the essay. As I am one of that sauntering tribe of mortals who spend the greatest part of their time in taverns, coffee houses, and other places of public resort, I have thereby an opportunity of observing an infinite variety of characters which, to a person of a contemplative turn, is a much higher entertainment than a view of all the curiosities of art or nature. So he says that as I am one of that sauntering tribe of mortals, the very first line, the introduction of the essay, or we can say the introduction of the essayist or the speaker of this essay is this, that I belong to that tribe, to that clan, to that species of mortals, to that species of human beings, of that species of mankind, which is of sauntering kind. Sauntering is to travel in a leisurely way. I am a traveling kind of. If we talk about the verbal meaning of sauntering, then it is that walking in a leisurely way. But here he is talking about a traveler. That as I belong to that community of mankind, that that class of mankind, that class of humans, which is always on traveling, who travels a lot, and actually in his lifetime he has set out on a traveling tour, and that is also on foot. He has traveled many cities, many places on foot, meeting with people and knowing about their cultures, their behaviors, their traditions. So he says, I am one of those people who travel too much and who spend the greatest part of their time, the time of a day, the time of a month, the time of a year, and the greatest part of that time is spent by such people, these traveling time type of people. How they spend their time? They spend the maximum part of their time in taverns, in coffee houses, and other places of public resort. Because obviously, if you are traveling, if you keep on traveling, then obviously to have breakfast, to have lunch, to have dinner, to have tea, to have water, even means to have that staying place, you have to visit these places, like the coffee houses, like taverns, and any other places of public resort, means public rest. I have thereby an opportunity of observing an infinite variety of characters, and as I have been traveling at places, I have been staying at places, I have been visiting these various type of places, so I have the opportunity to meet very diverse kind of people in these journeys of mine. And this thing, this opportunity of observing characters, of observing people, is to a person like me, who is of a contemplative turn, who has been a observing kind of person, who has been a thinking kind of person, who has been a we can say calculating kind of person, who draw the caricatures of characters, who think about the people, who discuss about these things in his mind, is a much higher entertainment than a view of all the curiosities of art or nature. So he says, to me, to a person like me who keeps on traveling and who is of a contemplative nature, to meet diverse kind of people, to observe different kind of people, is more entertainment, is more better thing than the view of art or nature. We generally, why we travel, we travel to visit some monument, to visit some famous place, to visit some zoo, to visit some garden, to visit some lake or some stream or some seaside, है ना? हम travel किस लिए करते हैं generally? Just to see art, the monuments, the famous places, or some famous some what we call picturesque or seeable places of natural beauty. So he says, for me, for a person like me who has these two habits, the first one is of traveling, and the second one is that of observing the people, of contemplating their character, of thinking about their behaviors, and then deciding of their traits. For such a person, to meet various kind of people, to meet various kind of characters, is as much of entertainment as to view some works, some curious work of art or nature. In one of these, my late rambles, my late walks, or my late journeys, I accidentally fell into the company of half a dozen gentlemen who were engaged in a warm dispute about some political affair. So now he just trying to bring us to the main point of the essay, the main point, what he wants to tell us, what he wants to narrate us. He says, in one of these late rambles of mine, late walks of mine, I accidentally fell into the company of half a dozen gentlemen. There were these 6 people who were discussing, and what they were discussing, who were engaged in a warm dispute. They were having a very warm discussion over some political affair, and I accidentally fallen into their company. He said, I don't know them. I was not of their company. I was not a member of that group. But accidentally, while I was working, I also met them, and I also become a part of that political discussion. The decision of which, as they were equally divided in their sentiments, they thought proper to refer to me, which naturally drew me in for a share of the conversation. So he says that when I accidentally met with them, and how he accidentally met with them is this, that they were having the discussion, and they were having a kind of dispute over that issue, and as they were 6, so they were divided in equal numbers of over that sentiment, over that ideology, over that topic on which they were discussing. So what they do, they thought it proper to refer to me, so they just invited me so that it can be 4-3, just to make it a decisive argument. They invited me, they thought it proper to refer it to me, which naturally drew me in for a share of the conversation. And just because of that thing, that they invited me to discuss things with them, I naturally become a shareholder, a stakeholder, a partner in their conversation. So this is how he says, I become a part of that company, of that group who have been discussing a political affair. So this is it. We will read it in our next chapter. Thank you.